I feel like I'm happy to see and achieve all these things. It kind of, my graduation coalesced with hitting, a subscriber milestone as well. So I was just like, damn, I don't know how to celebrate this. You know what I mean? You kind of feel what I mean, like a bittersweet
It must be
moment for sure.
It must be, yeah. And I think there's something really interesting in how, like, I personally don't have any plans to graduate for a very long time, but I can't lie and say that sometimes I don't imagine, I wonder if I did, what would I do? How would I manage it? What would the circumstances be? How would I try to go out with a bang and all of that? And I imagine there, and there is kind of a weird sense of excitement for, in however many years that is, what will that feel like? But then thinking about what comes after it, for me personally, I imagine what you feel is like a sense of excitement and a little bit of freedom. Like, it's going to be interesting to try new things. But for me, I don't really know if I could find that. So I imagine it would be a really strange mixture of emotions. And, me personally, I can only imagine that I'm sure, I'm certain that you will find, like the perfect place to be, honestly,
You're so sweet. Like, to kind of go back to what you were saying though earlier about flying the ship without me, I need to put like, I need to double back on that and kind of say that, I don't think it's insane to say that male VTubing would not be where it is without you and without Langxiam. Like, the truth of it is, Nijisanji would not have perhaps, because girls and female VTubers were seen as and praised as, like kind of the ones that started it all, the OGs and everything. But without the success of Langxiam and all five of you, coming to the scene and setting the groundwork, laying the foundation for me and for all of the other boys, Crisis, people in like the boys in Iluna, like we really wouldn't be here without you, because without you guys, male VTubing would still be seen as almost like, not really a joke, but for lack of a better word, like just like a hobby or a fad, a passing thing. You know what I mean?
It was, it was not the
you're
same.
So essential. Yeah.
Thank you. That really means a lot coming from you, and you are right. I remember, it's quite a funny story. I remember back when right before I first went to auditioned. I remember talking to my dad
3 years ago almost. That's
3 years ago almost. I remember talking to my dad, and because I was at kind of like a between part in my life. I was about to finish. I had just finished my second year in university, and I was talking to my dad, and I basically said, it's like, it's a really cool thing, but it's kind of like a female dominated space, and I was thinking, which is very much the case, especially in the West. In the West, we hadn't really had anyone truly pop off as a male VTuber, and then I just sort of went for it, and it's mad to have sort of looked at that and then really, the way that Langxiam popped off the way that they did. And I don't know. I think something fascinating about it is that, okay, let's get this out of the way. Let's get this out of the way right out of the gate, because
let's do it.
You and I were put in essentially the same niche. We are two deep-voiced men who are comfortable taking our pants off when we need to find success in life. And I'll be completely straight up with you. Even after Langxiam had so much success, and even after I had so much success in my early career, when I heard your voice for the first time, I felt a little bit scared, because I think you've got that source, and I was like, damn. It's common for us, I think, to look at what we have to offer to our fans and what we have to offer to the industry, and to view it as a set of characteristics rather than the sum of its parts. And with what you've got, I was like, man, what do I have with my voice that you don't have? And I was like, shit, that's a really scary feeling. But if anything, the way that you came in and went in your own direction and proved just how different that we all are capable of being, it wound up being a massive reassurance to me, that regardless of who joins, who comes in, and no matter how much great stuff people bring, it will always be different from what you can bring. And that was definitely a really necessary step for me to take, I think.
Oh man, I appreciate it. And I definitely know where you're coming from. I did also feel like, wow, there is this kind of like, for, tension almost that was palpable. But at the same time, even now as we've kind of distanced ourselves, almost 2 years since I've debuted in the company, I realize how, some of my thoughts that were forming were immature, because I saw us as like just as you said, this part of the same niche, and I was not able to subtract from kind of the picture, and that the whole of the picture, and I subtract certain parts from it. But at the end of the day, when I saw just how, I've always known just how spectacular you were, and I want to say, like, through time, I think it's just shown how absolutely set apart we both are, you know what I mean, and like excellent at, and how we excelled in the things that we both like to do. And
really,
like, it's crazy, right?
We really set people's expectations, I think, with what we were both capable of. And I love kind of the the stories people have about us, and how people talk about us in public and all of that, and how we're kind of infamous in a way. I think there's a sense of pride almost that I've always felt in that kind of thing. And I'm curious, actually, you mentioned something, I'm not sure if I'm picking this up wrong, but you mentioned something about about kind of living within the niche and kind of living up to the picture, because behind this color scheme, behind the red wine, behind the vodka, there's always more to you. I imagine that you had always planned on being this kind of person, but if you hadn't, what might you have done differently?
Oh man, you're coming in with all the great questions, I have to say.
I'm kind of on a roll today. I was like half asleep like an hour ago, and now what's going on? I'm like David Letterman today.
20 minutes ago, this guy was telling me, please forgive me if I, I'm on the back foot here a little bit. This man is just he's as talented as he is a liar. He's just he's locked in right now.
It must be the whiskey. I haven't had a nice glass of whiskey in a long time, so maybe that's
the one with this guy's lips touch those.
I know, right? Suddenly the liquid confidence just hits me. But anyway, yeah.